Hey guys, welcome back. This is Ruben again with Smoking with Ruben. Today we're going to do a catfish Creole, but we're going to substitute the catfish with a tilapia. So we're going to start with the first thing, which is going to be rice. So you're going to need, this is 2 cups of white rice already washed and rinsed, and 4 cups of chicken stock. Right, so for this recipe, you're gonna need the rice, the chicken stock. We're gonna put a little bit of shrimp in it, some tilapia. We're gonna use, the recipe usually calls for an andouille sausage. I couldn't find the andouille sausage, so we're gonna use a Louisiana hot link. We have some okra over here. We got some cut up onion. We got some bell peppers. We got some shallots and some fresh tomatoes. All right, so let's get started. First things first, we're going to start with the rice because the rice takes about 20 minutes to cook. So let's start with that real quick. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your shallots in there. Already got my oil going. This is really fragrant. It's a mixture of like a garlic with onion. So we got the shallots going. We'll put our rice in there, all 2 cups. All you're gonna do is you're gonna mix it. I'm gonna turn the temperature down a little. You're gonna mix it, and for about a minute, you're gonna cook your rice. About a minute dry. Remember the portion of rice to water is 2 cups of water to 1 cup of rice. And basically what you're doing with this is you're actually waking the rice up. All right, let's go ahead and put our chicken stock in there. Once we put our chicken stock in there, what we're going to do is we're going to bring it up to a boil. We want to bring this up to a boil. And once it goes into a boil, we're going to cover it. If you don't have a lid, again, you can use aluminum foil. So we're first going to bring this to a boil, and then we're bringing it out to a simmer and simmer it for about 20 minutes. All right, so now what we're going to do while we wait for this to come to a boil, we're going to make our Creole sauce. We're going to start getting that going. So we're going to start by adding some onion into our pan. We bring the temperature up. We put our onions in there. We're going to put our bell peppers in there. And we're just going to cook these for a little while. They get a little soft and translucent. While we wait for that to cook, we can start cutting our tomatoes. And for this, what we're going to do in here, we're going to blend. So we don't really, you can cut them into 4, so you don't really have to worry too much, because when we blend it, it doesn't matter how big you cut it, it's all going to be the same. So all I'm doing is cutting off the ends and cutting this into 4s. Our rice is getting to a boil. Now what we're going to do is we're going to bring it down to a simmer, and then we're going to cover it. If you have your lid, cover it with your lid, or if you don't, use foil again. It's a little hot. Simmering, and we're going to set it for 20 minutes. All right, that's going. This is still going. I'm going to stir this a little bit. All right, guys, so now we got our vegetables. They're nice and charred. We want to get a little char on them going, so it gives it a little more flavor. The more char you get, it changes the flavor in the sauce. So this is what I wanted to do for my flavor profile. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start adding our tomatoes in it, and we're going to cook our tomatoes down. This is going to make quite a bit of sauce. It looks like a lot, but once it cooks down and we blend it, it's going to be less. All we're going to want to do, we're just going to start turning it a little. It's okay if you mash them, because like I said, we're going to blend this, so it's not going to matter. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to cover this guy. So I want them to cook down faster. And we're going to prep the next thing. So while this goes in, we're going to get our sausage, and we're going to throw them into the grill. Again, I already have my grill going, so it's not going to be, just going to put them in here and just let them cook. That'll be at the end. What we're going to do with that is we're going to slice it and add it to our sauce. All right, toss this one more time. smells great. And there is 2 other ingredients I forgot to mention earlier. We're gonna add a little bit of hot sauce. You can use your favorite hot sauce. This is Tabasco. There's some red crushed chili. You can use Louisiana hot sauce. You can use, this is not gonna be till the end once we start spicing everything up. The whole point of a Creole sauce is supposed to be spicy. So that's what we wanna do, all right? So now, while we're waiting for that, we're gonna cut our okra. This is, ooh, just dropped one, lost one. We're gonna cut our okra. And what I like to do is just for aesthetics, just makes it look nicer, is cut it at an angle. Makes it look longer, makes it look prettier. So when you go to plate, it looks really nice. And there's our 20 minutes. Turn off the fire. And what we're gonna do is let it sit for another 5 minutes. Covered. And just let it sit there for another 5 minutes. All right, that one's done. We'll continue cooking or cutting our okra. Here is gonna go in the end and we'll cook it in the end. All right guys, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna transfer our sausage to our cutting board. And they're really hot, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut these guys. Again, I like cutting my stuff at angles. Next step we're gonna do is we're gonna blend our Creole sauce. And I'm doing it in little bursts because I wanna try to keep some chunk in there. I don't want it all just puree. Now we're gonna start putting in the rest of our ingredients. We're gonna add our okra. And add the rest of our onion. Mix these guys up. And the okra doesn't take a lot to cook, or yeah, get tender. This will all cook in here. Add my sausage. Mix all my sausage in here. All right, before we cook our shrimp and our tilapia in there, we're gonna start spicing up our sauce. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get our red crushed chili. Put our Tabasco in there. I get some pepper, a bit of salt, 3 teaspoons of salt, 1 of pepper. Mix it again. All right, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna get this to a boil. It should be really quick because it's already hot. So we're just gonna get this boiling. Once it gets boiling, we're gonna cook our shrimp and our fish inside the sauce. The other thing we can do is you can either put the tilapia, well this is tilapia, not catfish. So even with the catfish, one thing you can do is you can cut it ahead of time. If you want, get a little bit more fish, smaller pieces. You can cut this into 4s. The sauce is really hot right now. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna get our catfish, or tilapia I mean, and we're just gonna push it into the sauce. Once you put your fish in here, you don't want to stir this very much because it'll break your fish. If you do, it's okay. If you want a bunch of little pieces of fish. But what we're trying to do is cook these pieces and serve these pieces on top of rice. We'll put our shrimp in here. Right now, before the fish starts cooking, we're just gonna push everything under. We just wanna push everything underneath the sauce so the sauce cooks all of this, which is why it's important to put flavor into your sauce before you put your fish in, unless you want to try to taste something that has raw fish or raw shellfish inside of it. Normally Catfish Creole doesn't come with a shrimp. It's just something that I've added to it. We're gonna let this cook for about another 10-15 minutes. All right guys, so one thing we're doing, so our rice, while this is cooking our fish and our shrimp, our rice has been sitting there for a little bit. So what I'm going to teach you here is one thing that our white rice, one thing that they do is they call it fluffing the rice. So you basically take a fork and you just run it through the rice. There you go, that's your rice. All right, so now we're just going to wait for this to finish cooking. All right guys, so our Catfish Creole, or Tilapia Creole, I guess we want to call it now, has been sitting in here for about a good 10 minutes. Like I said, fish cooks really fast. I'm not gonna stir, I'm just gonna pick them up from the bottom. As you can see, our fish and our shrimp are cooked all the way through. And what's great about cooking it in here is whatever comes off the tilapia, whatever flavors come off, they stay in the sauce. So all that's gonna be part of this dish, all the flavor profile in here. Got a little bit of rice. If you wanna do a little healthier, you can do brown rice. You can use quinoa, you can use whatever you want, cauliflower, you know, minced up cauliflower and stuff to substitute for a rice if you're not eating rice or you want to do gluten-free. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna get our Creole sauce and fish. Just gonna gently scoop underneath. I'm gonna scoop it on top. Some of that sausage, some of that shrimp, some of that fish, some okra, sausage. Right? And the best way to scoop up your fish instead of doing with one of those is get tongs and just grab your fish and place it right on top. And there you go, a delicious dish. A little spicy, some rice in it, really filling. Great for winter, great for a cold day. This is awesome. It's pretty healthy. It's not very, there isn't very many things that are bad for you. I mean, the rice is probably the worst thing in here. Everything's naturals, fresh tomatoes, fresh vegetables,